My name is Dave Leach. There are 3 areas of due process needing overhaul, which I've documented on my cable TV show over the past 17 years. The first problem is laws are written without any clear limits on what they cover, so that a bureaucrat can charge almost anybody under them. For example, children are taken from parents whose homes are dirty under our child abuse laws without any definition in law of how clean parents must keep their home in order to keep their children. Children are removed for mental abuse without a line defined anywhere between mental abuse and healthy child rearing by loving parents. And here's another example. Check the littering law in your city. In Des Moines, it is littering if you abandon anything on any public property. Now, it'd be fine if they stopped there, but they add that if you leave or place anything on any public or private property, that's littering. So when the judge lays his laptop on his desk, he commits a misdemeanor and should go to jail for a month and pay a $500 fine. Now, of course, vague laws like that aren't used against everybody, only to people not liked by police and judges. So, when a pro-lifer placed a cross made out of 2 painted yardsticks in the public grass outside Planned Parenthood, he was arrested 1 second later and then convicted. The second category I'm concerned about is when a defendant's only defense is his reasoning about the law, there be no disagreement about the facts, and the judge disagrees with the defendant's reasoning, the judge will then not allow the jury to ever hear that the accused even has a defense, leaving the jury confused why the accused still thinks he's innocent. This describes many kinds of cases. I learned about it through the nearly 100,000 cases of pro-lifers trying to save lives by sitting in front of the doors of abortionists. The problem with this routine practice is that if the only contested issue of a trial is a question of law, which the judge decides without the jury allowed to hear about it, how can you say the defendant got his American right to a trial by a jury? A third category I'm concerned about is when a defendant can't afford a $300 an hour lawyer, the judge doesn't make it better by telling him his legally experienced friend can't speak for him in court either. No one even tries to justify how this helps the accused or serves justice, but it sure keeps lawyers employed. The authors of the Sixth Amendment right to counsel thought that they were guaranteeing that any defendant could have anyone speak for him in court that he chose because that was the practice in 1789. That case is made in my first Supreme Court appeal, which is summarized in this little publication, Right to Counsel. There's another issue I wonder how many people know about. In divorce court, 1970, they passed a law that said instead of having to prove fault, all you got to prove is that the marriage is toast. Now you have to, to this day the law says you got to present evidence. You don't just take a stipulation, an agreement by the parties. You don't just take the word of one party. You got to have evidence which you should be able to refute, evidence that there's been a breakdown of the legitimate objects of matrimony such that there is no reasonable likelihood of their reconciliation. Now, of course, we don't allow evidence, and probably the reason for that is no one ever got around to defining what the legitimate objects of matrimony are. I submit that children are legitimate objects of matrimony. Is it in the best interests of the children to allow the divorce? If the other party to the divorce, if the respondent can present evidence that it's not going to be good for the children, that should be evidence that should keep the divorce from being granted. How about the family finances? Are they going to be better by granting the divorce? Normally not. How about sometimes the mental health of the person filing who is a Christian and who believes it's a sin to get a divorce for no reason? So there's some things that could be changed. I'd like to see them changed.